So we keep having questions around user stories. This one happens to be around user stories or epics, the things that you put in the product backlog. I think the question that people have is at what level of detail are these user stories and epics considered okay? Is there a situation in which they're just too big and they shouldn't be? And I don't know, maybe an alternate question is there a thing as a too small of a user story? Anyway, it's about size of user stories. What do you think?
All right. I've got a lot of ideas on this. Let's start with the biggest. Epics are typically considered big, right? They could last multiple sprints, and I think that's okay. In Scrum, we don't have an official thing called epics. We have a thing called product goals. And a product goal is something that would likely be a goal you work on for multiple sprints. It's going to help shape the product backlog. It's going to help you just focus on some major thing that you're trying to accomplish. Sprint goals, that's just for one sprint. And so the work that you take on to accomplish a sprint goal should be small enough that it can be done and usable by the end of a sprint. And so when you start with these big epics or these big product backlog items, what you'd like to do in order to get some piece of value done within just one sprint is product backlog refinement. Talked about in the Scrum guide, it's barely noticed. It's somewhere in like the second or third paragraph under product backlog section. But they talk about further refining and breaking down work into actionable things that what they're basically saying can be done in a sprint. And so you add more detail and more clarity. So personally, when is it too big? If it can't fit into a sprint. When things are really big, I would focus less on really minute detail and focus more on big picture goals. As it gets closer to something you're going to work on, add more detail. This is how you lean out the requirements gathering process. What you don't want to do is spend 16 months documenting every single epic to the nth detail, and then all of a sudden things change and you don't do that work anymore. What a waste of requirements gathering. So those are my thoughts, small enough to fit into a sprint, otherwise considered a product goal. What are your thoughts, Greg?
Yeah, I like that. I like how you tied it maybe to a product goal. Maybe not all epics equate perfectly to product goals, but I have seen some teams take that mindset. They're like, so we could just create better product goals and we could do away with epics and just have stories that satisfy the goal. Like, yeah. Or you could call it an epic or whatever, but a product goal in Scrum is what we would use. And then when it comes to the work to accomplish that, 100% what you said, it needs to be small enough to fit within a sprint. Level of detail, small enough and understood by all. So it needs to be understood by developers, by the product owner, and I'm going to also say the stakeholder. There shouldn't be a surprise saying, whoa, what was this? This isn't what we were thinking at all. So if there's confusion as to the conversation, then there's probably not enough detail. One other piece I'd toss out there in the mix, and if your team is having a difficult time getting done increments consistently, maybe suggest getting these user stories small enough to fit within half of a sprint or less. Because if they're able to be done within a smaller time box, you reduce the risk, especially if your culture is used to unplanned work that interrupts you. You just don't know how much or how often. So a few little tips there, but yeah, I like your suggestions, Rob. Those are good.
All right, break those rocks down.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. Did you like what you heard? If so, you're going to love our Scrum classes. See, not only do we talk about these ideas on YouTube, we're also professional Scrum trainers, and we'd love to have you in one of our classes. So if you need to level up as a Scrum Master or a product owner, maybe you need to learn how to scale Scrum or combine Kanban or UX with Scrum, click the link in our description and you'll find a list of our upcoming classes.
If you like this video, just leave us a comment. And if you got some positive feedback, we'd love to hear it. And if you've got some negative feedback, well, we'd love to hear that too.